Lafayette Parish School Board member Justin Centanni joining us this morning. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Bernie. I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us this morning for a few minutes, and want to talk with you a little bit. We've had these conversations about moving the academies, if you will, that are part of the different high schools, and the issues that we have with overpopulation at some schools and scores at some schools. A very brief amount of time was spent earlier this week talking about, what about this suggestion of maybe we can move one of the academies to Northside High School? Timmy Chasson brought up that idea. So tell me, your thoughts initially. I know when people have a particular school and they're going there, their kids want to stay going there. The parents want their siblings to go there. It's a pretty serious issue for a lot of folks.
Oh, sure, it's a serious issue. And, Lafayette High is not the largest high school in the state because it's a bad school.
Right,
there are a lot of people who have chosen to go to Lafayette High. Mm-hmm. And, it's completely understandable that when you choose to go to a school that you want to go to that school. I mean, that's pretty much what you're telling us. So, but at the end of the day, we have 6,000 high school students in this parish, and 2,500 of them are at one school.
It just blows my mind every time I think about those numbers there. So with this thought in mind, when will this issue come back up on the agenda?
I believe we are going to vote on this on June 1st. Mm-hmm. And what we heard from the public was, please take some time, really think about, consider different options, and there's no hurry to do this. We won't implement this until the 17-18 school year, so we have time, but we had the public meeting on Tuesday to get input from the public, and we got a lot of good information, and I think we're going to spend the next 3 weeks really thinking about it personally and trying to come to a conclusion when we get the item on June 1st. Initially,
what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that it would be more appropriate to move an academy before you rezone. So there are two ways to handle this. You can move an academy, or you can rezone the people who are zoned for Lafayette High. Now, I think it would be more appropriate to move an academy because it's very difficult for me to tell someone who may have bought their home to go to Lafayette High that your child can't go to Lafayette High School because we have to make room for some child that is not in the zone.
Right.
That's a very difficult thing for me to have to tell someone. But at the same time, we certainly are sensitive to the fact that the children that are there want to be there.
Sure. So. Yeah, it's such a hard way to go at this particular point. And again, I said your initial thoughts on the situation because I know you're going to spend a lot of time over the next 3 weeks really kind of listening to more comments and really mulling it over some more. Do you think there are any other possibilities or suggestions that could come up that would maybe settle something?
Well, I think we've got a really good list of options, and I don't know that there are really too many more. I mean, one of the options, several of them are you might want to term them radical, but they're definitely a big change. One of them is to convert Lafayette High into a magnet school. One of them is to drastically shrink the zone down to about 900 students from the 1,700 that the zone contains now.
Wow.
One of them is moving one of the academies. Another one is creating duplicate academies at Como. So I think you get a nice sample of the different choices, and we're looking at everything. We're trying to find what best serves the needs of Lafayette High and the needs of the district as a whole.
Yeah, so you guys are still open. Everybody's still open for what may come in terms of ideas, because like you said, maybe it's something that or maybe it ends up being a combination.
Maybe it ends up being a combination. I don't know.
A couple of those ideas. Well, I want to thank you very much for kind of clarifying that thought and kind of where we are on this. And everybody will be watching. In particular, like we have one gentleman in our building, it affects him because his kids go to Lafayette High. So he's constantly in our control room saying, okay, what have you heard about this? What have you heard about that? And as we started out this interview, it's, it is emotional, and it is, something that, especially if your home is right near Lafayette High School, and then you think, oh, I might have to take my child and go all the way to Como, or I might have to go all the way to Northside. That could be quite a life-changing event for not only the student but the parent.
It would be, but at the end of all of this, we haven't significantly rezoned at the high school level in 30 years. And like I've said many times before, what did the population of Lafayette Parish look like 30 years ago?
Quite different.
Not only what did it look like count-wise, but where was it? Right? I mean, it's changed dramatically over 30 years. So it's incumbent upon us to do something about this.
Absolutely. Justin Centanni has been joining us from the Lafayette Parish School Board. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Coming up now on 8:29 on the way. Got a brief little stop here, and then we'll have more for your news coming up.